Yeah, I want to talk to you about a problem that a lot of us have in the home. It's typically something that happens all the time. You have a lamp that just won't work. You go under it, you try to turn it on, got the little clicker thing here, little switch, nothing comes on. I'm going to show you 10-minute fix to get that puppy back working again. As with any home project, you need to make sure, especially if it's electrical, I guess only if it's electrical, you need to make sure that the lamp is unplugged before you start working on it. So before you do anything else, unplug that lamp. All right, so let's start with step one. Of course, removal of the shade. It's pretty simple. Just unscrew the knob on the top. Usually it's a knob or something on the top. Just unscrew it counterclockwise. And then what we're going to do is remove what's called the harp. And there's two sleeves that keep the harp in its place. Just raise those, squeeze the harp. Harp comes right off. Of course, we're going to remove the bulb. And as you can see, this is a phenolic switch. It's plastic, it's molded resin. Well, we're going to replace this with a brass switch. So the first thing we're going to do is unscrew the top of this phenolic switch. Comes right off. You can see that. Just screws right off. Then you can see I have access to the switch. And again, you'll hear me remind you to make sure this is unplugged. And where the cord enters the lamp, you want to make sure there's not a knot down there. Boy, that sounds like a double negative, but there isn't a knot. And you're going to want to kind of push on the power cord to try to get as much slack and pull this to raise this high enough such that we can cut this phenolic switch off and replace it. So here's my trusty wire cutters. You can see that right there. I'm just going to go ahead and clip the wires. There's two of them. There. You can see that. Got that going on. I'm going to go ahead and spread these wires a little bit so we can fit the new switch on, which I'm going to run up to Home Depot and grab a switch. I really could have done that ahead of time. That's what's really going to take you the time. So once I get back with the new switch, I'll show you how to install it. But this is where we are right now. As you can see, I'm back from the hardware store. And I did buy this new switch here to replace the plastic one. This is actually the guts of the old one. We took this off before I left to the hardware store. This is the new one. You can see I busted into this bag before reading the warnings. You really need to do that. So let's get on to finishing our project. All right, so here's our lamp. And as you can see, I removed my jacket. It's cold outside, but I have my mini split on in my workshop, so I decided to just go ahead and get a little bit loose. But as you can see, I've already taken the wires and stripped them. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and kind of tighten them down a little bit, just twist them. I mean, we'll do a little bit more twisting on that. But what we're going to do is get more slack. Now at the bottom of mine, base of my lamp, I don't have a knot here, so I'm able to pull just a little bit more slack on that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is continue to remove the old plastic socket. So I'm going to go ahead and unscrew that. As you can see down here, there's a nut and another like area down there where we'll screw the new switch onto. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take that new switch I bought. I'm going to simply pop off the base. Okay, and here's the new base. I'm going to go ahead and slide that new base on there. And as you can see on this new base, there is a set screw. So I might have to loosen that a little bit before I actually screw it onto the lamp. So you probably want to do that before you put it there. Okay, I've got that loose. So now it should be as simple as screwing that bad boy on, which I'm doing right now. You can see that set screw sitting there spinning around. All right. So now what I'm going to do is, since I tighten that down hand tight, I'm going to go ahead and tighten that set screw. Okay. All right. Okay. So the next thing we're going to want to do is put what they call an Underwriter knot. And that's to keep, you know, if the cord, someone trips on the cord, it doesn't pull it all the way through the new switch. So I'm going to go ahead and give us some more slack here. Okay, so to create that knot, we're going to take one wire and loop it behind the wire. And we're going to take the other wire and loop it in front. Then you're going to push these wires through the openings to create that underwire knot. And it's going to be loose. And what you're going to want to do with that after you get that underwriter's knot, you're going to want to pull it back through. Okay, so I'm going to pull it back through very gently, and that just keeps it such that if somebody trips over the cord, you don't really jerk the cord out of the lamp. Okay, next what we're going to do is connect the new switch. Okay, it does matter which wire goes where. We have a brass color screw and a silver color screw. The silver color is your neutral. That means there's no power going to it. It's a neutral. And the way you tell your neutral is by looking at your wire. It should have ribs on the outside of the plastic sheathing. And you know, one way that I looked at it is your plug has a large terminal and a small terminal. The small terminal is your power. The large terminal is your neutral. And if you look at the side of this wire on the side of the neutral, I don't know if you can see it, it's got ribs on it. It's kind of roughened. Okay, it's got a ridge going up it. And so it's that ridge right here that I see that I am going to connect to the silver terminal. So let's go ahead and get those connections going. This is my neutral, and I'm gonna kind of hook it clockwise, because when you tighten this up on the switch, you want it to not unravel. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and get that going. Just that easy. And as I tighten it, the wire is not unraveling. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the power. The power is to go on the color brass, more brassy looking connector or screw. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. You see that on there? And I'll just go ahead and tighten that way down. Alrighty. Now, if you're worried about making sure you have the right wire, you can use a multimeter to try to figure out your neutral. But in general, the way I explained it is the way to do it, is a way to do it. So now that I have my switch connected, what I want to do is make sure that the protective sleeve is in there. There's a cardboard protective sleeve. Make sure it's inside the switch cover. And I'm going to put that switch cover on. Okay, I have it on. Now all simply, I mean, I have a lot of slack in mine, but you're going to want to try to figure out where do you want your switch to show up on your lamp. And you just simply snap this into place where you want that switch to be. This should just snap right down. I have a lot of extra slack in mine, so it's going to be a little bit harder to get it in there. Pretty much I have it in there. It's a little crooked, so need work on that. There we go. I heard it pop. It's in there. It's on there. Pretty much good to go, just about. I'm gonna kind of adjust the camera, pan out, put the bulb back in this bad boy, and then we'll give it a try. All right, let's plug the lamp in and cross our fingers. I'm not really worried about it. This is pretty simple. Let's just go ahead and get that plugged in. Make sure our lamp is functional. There we go. And voila, fixed lamp. I want to thank you for watching this video. Hopefully this helps someone else out. I know my wife's been on my case about not getting this fixed, so I thought it was a great opportunity to give you guys some insight as to how to fix those pesky lamps. And for whatever reason, those switches just go bad. And you have a nice day.